It is yours truly, Coach Amber J, with the key to changing lives. It is Key Talk Tuesdays on BU Radio at 8 p.m. Keep tuning in every week. Thank you all for those who tuned into last week's interview. Before I go there, I am your host, Coach Amber J, with the key to changing lives. I think I said that already. But thank you for tuning in to everybody who tuned into my interview last week with the lovely Monique Million, CEO of Be Unique Boutique. We had a dope conversation as she dropped some major keys on her daily self-care routines and how she implemented daily self-care in her regimens and created the self-love she needed to overcome her living circumstances while creating a life she desires. So shout out to you, Monique. You did an amazing job. Thank you again for coming to Key Talk Tuesdays. I want to give a shout out to the BU Radio family. You guys are absolutely amazing. I see you every week on everybody's show, tuning in, showing up, and giving love. And that's so important for the support. So shout out to the BU Radio family. Shout out to the man, the producer, Nat Trail, and also our guy, Alex. Thank you for holding us down over here on the back end. Happy Black History Month. And I also want to tell everybody, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you guys spoiled yourself, you had enjoyed yourself, and all of that good stuff. So tonight's topic, again, each month we will focus on a theme. And as your coach, I will give you keys to unlock new doors so that you can become the master of your own life in 3 key areas: spiritual growth, personal growth, and purpose. So these are the key areas I developed in my own self and became the master of my life. And so I want to give those keys to you. Tonight, I'm super excited for tonight's guest. But before I get started and introduce her, really quick, this month's topic is self-care and self-love. It's fitting because this is a theme fitting around love. And so most of us, hopefully you enjoyed the day of love, but not only just one day, but making that a routine in your everyday life. And so that is why self-care is so important and why you have to learn how to do self-care and self-love on a daily. So it's not just a one time out of the year that you spend filling yourself up with material things of love, but every day of tokens of love. So tonight I want to welcome our amazing key guest, this phenomenal woman. She goes by our favorite classy clinician, LaTanya Gaston, who is also an author of Becoming a Better You, a career coach, and a host on Tanya Talks in her FB group. So thank you for joining tonight. Welcome. I'm excited to have you. I'm like not wanting to look at you, but welcome. Hello.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I am so honored to be here, and I consider it a blessing to be able to come on your show and share some keys with everybody out in the listening audience.
Thank you. I'm super excited. So I know I kind of dropped a little bit about who you are. I know that's just a little bit of what you do. So go ahead and tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I am a African American mental health clinician.
Yes.
I am here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I have worked in several capacities, just implementing mental health therapies, different techniques and tools to help individuals become their best selves. Right now, I am currently employed in a prison.
Wow.
And I also have worked in various other agencies, homeless shelters, schools, churches, individual therapy. And so I believe that's my God assignment, to spread the love and help individuals become better.
Awesome. That is so good. So you've been in an arena of different fields in this industry. So you've kind of seen so many different areas of where the lack of self-care and self-love can hugely impact people's lives, right?
Absolutely.
And what you said too is important. Like you said, being in different arenas, but still seeing that the need is there. And also a huge part is, you said this is your God-given purpose.
Oh, yes.
So how does that feel, walking into purpose, doing what you love, but also being able to help so many other people?
Actually, it feels like I'm never working a day of my life.
Wow.
Because when you are doing something that you were designed and you were made to do, it's just a gift. It comes easily. It comes naturally. It's beautiful, and it's always a great feeling, and it's very rewarding.
Absolutely. That is so amazing, because there's a lot of people that I feel are struggling trying to find their identity, their purpose, and what it is that they're doing, or how do they even begin to go there. And so some of the questions tonight, I really want to see if we can leave some of those keys. And I believe also self-care and self-love help you develop those identities and who you are and what your purpose is. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So just a little bit, how long have you been a clinician?
So I have been a clinician here in Las Vegas for 6 years.
Nice.
Yes.
Awesome. That's
going
a
on
long
7. Yeah, going on 7 years.
Congratulations. Thank you. And like you said, you're an African American clinician, and that is so important, I think, to see people like us that know us, that can kind of relate, to say, hey, this is a normalcy, or creating a normalcy within us, right?
Yes.
Or in the community, because we've been told for so long that, if you see a therapist or a psychiatrist or something's wrong with you. What do you have to say about the stigma that's placed on clinicians and things like that?
To me, I look at stigmas like traditions. Traditions and rules are made to be broken.
Okay.
And so are stigmas.
Yes.
And so that's something that you don't have to stick to just because that's what your grandmother and their mother and their mothers were taught. That does not mean that it may work for you. And so you can create your own tradition. You can create your own rule, and whatever makes your life great. Those are things that I say that you should go for. So we should let go of the stigmas, because sometimes those stigmas hold us and keep us stuck.
Absolutely. And oh my gosh, I remember even in my own journey, like I started in 2013, and that is something that I felt like I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. And I was like, I need help. Like, this is not working. This, all these things that my parents and my grandmothers and aunts were telling me to do. And, for me, it was like the end of a cycle of going through a relationship, the beginning of my divorce. And I'm like, everything they told me to do to work is not working. Like, I need to see somebody. Something is wrong. And so that's kind of like the journey that I began on, even thinking that therapy and, seeking outside help or an expert's help would even help me. And I remember like going to see a therapist, and I walking out feeling like, oh my God, like I needed this. I really needed this. So what are some keys you can give to some people that may be having those doubts or those questions, or even like, well, I see a therapist, how can they relate to me? Like some questions or some thoughts, I guess, to leave with some people.
Well, one thing I would say is that if you are seeking a therapist, please know your preference. First, have your preference in mind and be able to identify what that is.
Okay.
If you feel like you want a male or you prefer a female, you want somebody who is a Christian therapist, who is centered around family, who is multicultural. You have to know your preferences, because if you know your preferences, then those people usually you are attracted to those people, because you can relate to some of the things that or they can relate to some of the things that you're going through.
That's really good. Did you guys catch that key? That preference is so important, and I've never heard anyone say that, but it is really important, because you do, and I think that's kind of why people feel like, oh, well, they can't help me because you weren't sure of the preference that would relate or help you. So that is huge. What roles do you believe self-care and self-love play in mental health?
I believe that self-care and self-love are two essential factors that are very important in living a good life.
Wow.
A good, healthy life. Because if you don't care about yourself and you don't love yourself, how do you expect for somebody else to do the same for you?
Yes.
So it first begins with you.
Wow. So what are some ways that people can implement self-love or self-care, or how do people even identify that they're loving themselves or they're not?
So let's start with self-care, because self-care and self-love are two different things.
Absolutely.
Although they do go hand in hand.
Okay.
So self-love is just the act of loving yourself. So the way that you know that you're loving yourself is you are being your best advocate.
Okay.
You are respecting yourself. You
Yes.
you are identifying things that are concerning to you.
That's good.
You are resolving matters of your heart. You're watching what you eat. You're protecting your space. You're protecting your energy. You are staying away from things that would taint your spirit.
That's good.
And I did mention all those things that do not cost money. Right?
Yes, all of those things are free.
Are free.
Yes.
And so some people get it mixed up. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to engage in self-care, so I'm going to go get a pedicure. I'm going to go to the
Right.
spa. Well, those are all behaviors, things that you can engage in,
Thank
but that
you
does
for
not
breaking that
begin. You don't have to start or end with that.
Yes.
Just start with you first.
Right. And also, like you said, self-care should be kind of like a routine, which doesn't have to cost money. Like you said, that is all like treats or behaviors of maintaining these certain behavior or certain things, right?
Right.
And I love that you broke that down, because I think a lot of people have the misconception that self-care is going out to do something where you have to spend money. And I think that's a lot of reason why people don't actually implement self-care, because it's like, well, I can't get my hair done, I can't get my nails done, I can't go to the spa, then I can't take care of myself. But all those things that you just mentioned, and you mentioned about 7 or 8 self-care keys that you can implement that don't cost you anything. I was earlier having a conversation with someone, and I was explaining to them, sometimes being alone in solitude is a part of self-care. If you're stressed out, if you're overwhelmed, sitting alone in solitude is an amazing self-care tip. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. When you're sitting alone, you can also reflect. You can reflect on things. You can identify traits and within yourself. You can
Right.
do some reflective listening, and even some thinking to help you kind of sort out things, to help you make better decisions in the
That's
future.
good.
You know,
Yeah.
not blaming yourself, but just appreciating the fact that you experienced what you experienced and you know what you need to do to move forward.
Yes, that is really good. And again, to all my listeners or those who may hear this later, these are all free keys that you can implement immediately into your daily life. I know, especially right now in the middle of this pandemic and so many uncertainties, even though we're beginning to open up, a lot of people are in a like very stressed and overwhelmed feeling because of the uncertainties. And these are all simple keys that you can implement just to have a peace of mind, just to create that space that doesn't cost you anything but your time. So I hope that you guys are listening and you're taking in all of these keys, because this is something that is vital, I believe, for the mental health, for your mental well-being overall. And so I want to ask you, do you like implement self-care into incorporating self-care into like treatment plans when you're seeing clients?
Absolutely.
So what would that look like for someone coming in that's maybe depressed or sad or struggling with balance?
So for somebody who is sad or struggling with balance, when you design a treatment plan as a therapist, you're just designing it. What I tell all of my clients, I tell them, you are the driver. We're in the car, you're the driver, I'm the
Wow.
passenger. So you tell me where we're going to go. So
Okay.
whatever they feel they need to help them become a better person, then that's what we're going to work around. Those are the things, or those are the goals that we are going to use to help them, to assist them in becoming better. Like, why would I put a goal that I just want them to accomplish when I'm not them?
Right.
You know, they're
Yeah.
the only person that can decide what they need or what would make them a better person.
I think that is a huge breakthrough right there, because I think so many people think that they're going to see a therapist and you're just going to, automatically say, you're crazy, you're this, and this is what you should do, when that, I think, should set a lot of people free. If that's been a reason or a hindrance on why you haven't seen, expert advice with the therapist, is thinking that they're going to tell you how to get better. Basically, you're taking their hand and journeying through with them what will work for them, and what works for them may not work for another person. And so that is huge that you even bring up that factor, because I think that is also a part of the misconception of seeing a therapist as well. It looks like we have some questions or some comments in the feed that I want to read really quick.
Okay.
So it's from Naya. Hey Naya, she says,
Hey, Naya.
I agree. I believe in change, and what was good then wasn't working now. I'm from the old school. Every old rule didn't work for me. Once I made up my mind to do things different, I found a way out.
Absolutely.
Okay, found a way out, and I'm strong, beautiful, worthy, a spiritual being who is guided by the light of strength in my soul. That's good, and I'm glad to hear from someone, like you said, an old school woman, to say what used to work didn't work for me. How many times do you feel like a lot of people are stuck because of what their families have told them, or what friends or people have told them to do based off of traditions? Do you see that a lot?
Absolutely. But what I will say is that they're coming out of it. They're coming out of it now because they're understanding that what worked for them will not work for me.
Right.
Maybe I would say 2 to 3 years ago, a lot of people would have said, oh no, that therapy is bad. My grandmother didn't go to therapy. We don't believe in therapy. I'm not doing therapy. I don't need to have anybody in my business to tell me what to do. Those type of things were said maybe very often, maybe 2 to 3 years ago. But now you mentioned therapy, it's almost like I had to cut my my appointments off. Because I had too many. I was just booked and busy. I'm glad to be booked and busy because that's my assignment. Yeah. But I can't. I know that I can't help everybody.
Right.
And so I had to cut it off. But now I'm telling you, people are really coming to the light, and they're understanding that the only way that you're going to work through these situations is if you go and sit down and talk to somebody so that they can help you through this.
Yes. That is so important. And even like sometimes, with our girlfriends or whatever, sometimes when you just have those sit down and have a conversation with someone, you feel so much better. So think about it from an aspect. If you go speak with someone as an expert that has the knowledge, that has the information, and not only information, but can also give you the tools that you can apply and implement, how much more better you would feel. And I think that for me, the self-care and the self-love is such an important topic, because I feel like a lot of people, you just don't know that the tools and resources are available. So how would you say someone can start off by contacting a therapist, or what steps to take?
So I'm going to go with the insurance component first.
Okay.
If you work for an employer and they offer you health insurance, on the back of your insurance card, every insurance card has they have a mental health component. Okay. On the back, you can look for the number. Remember, you have to know your preference, because they're going to ask you, what do you prefer? Male, female, Christian, non-Christian. They're going to ask you, so you should know these things prior to calling so that you won't be stuck. Once you do that, they can give you a therapist that is close to your location and within your insurance network. Now, if you do not have insurance, you can also reach out to is it 211?
Yeah,
I believe it's 211, where they can give you resources, local resources in Nevada, of therapists who accept clients who don't have insurance and would like to cash pay.
Wow.
There's also another option. There are some agencies who sponsor therapy services for people who do not have insurance. Now, I don't want to give that information out, but if you are if you are my friend on Facebook, or you can get in touch with me, I will be more than happy to give you that resource.
That is so good. And listen, these are all tips and keys that you can apply, that are free resources that are available. And even, I think some people don't even know. I didn't even know you can look on the back of your insurance card and see that there's that mental health component, and just call and find out. Information is so important, but being able to actually not only have the information, but how to implement information is also a key on self-care. How do we implement these things? And so I want to talk a little bit, because I know that your book, Journey to Wellness, Becoming a Better You, I'm sure, I haven't got to read it. I'm glad I got my copy tonight. But this book let's talk about this, because this book, even when I seen it on your website, I'm like, I gotta get this book. Like, I need to be able to have tools for myself to stay in a mental space that I can constantly pour and give out as well.
Yes. So what's crazy about this book is my father passed away March 24th is when we found him. But I believe that I wrote that book 2 days after my dad died.
Oh, wow.
Because I couldn't sleep.
Right.
So I was up all night. And I figured, I might as well make something great. I might as well do something that will inspire other people.
Right.
Because
Your pain to purpose.
Exactly.
This is pushing your pain to purpose.
Exactly. I've been through a lot of stuff in my life, and I felt like, well, maybe I could just write little snippets. And another thing is, I like to journal.
Okay.
So that's what the book is really about. It's about journaling, and it's a 30-day self-help guide and journal to help you to get through your challenges, to get to get through your journey to healing and wellness.
Wow, it's so important. Those are one of my tips tonight. Is reading an article on self-development. And listen, everybody, make sure that you go. She is on Amazon. She is on
Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Nobles. So make sure that you go get this book and support, not only just support, but utilize these tips that are available, because I know I hear a lot, I see a lot of people struggling, and they don't know where to go. They don't know where to turn to. And maybe you're not comfortable seeing a therapist quite yet. But here are tips that you can utilize that can begin to even just start releasing just a little bit. I remember it was a book that also pushed me into therapy, because it was a 30-day journaling prompt. It was actually from Ayanna Van Sant in 2013. And I remember journaling, and I was like, I didn't even know I had all this bottled up inside of me.
Yes.
So even just allowing yourself to kind of pour out, here is a great tip. Let's talk about, you said a lot. You said you've been through a lot of pain, and my condolences to you losing your father. I can't even imagine what that pain felt like.
Thank you.
But was this a coping step for you to kind of get through the experience, like understanding it and kind of like going through? I don't even have the right words, so I'm sorry.
Well, I don't, it wasn't a coping thing for me. It was just, well, maybe it was. It was a part of my healing process.
Okay.
I think that I was in shock and when it all happened. So I just needed something to kind of occupy my time.
Okay.
And I'm a person that I'm a forward thinker. So I think that I'm always in my head a lot. So I figured, like, if I'm up, I need to do something productive.
Right.
Like, I don't want to just be up laying in this bed watching TV, flipping the channels.
Yeah.
Like, I need to figure out something to do. So I actually wrote the book in like 4 days. And so, and actually, it was some of the inserts in the book are from my actual journal.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So very personal.
Yes, everything in that book, from page 1 all the way to the very end, I experienced it.
Oh wow.
And so, I'm not telling you anything in that book that I haven't gone through. Okay. This is not just something that I read in a book. Yes, I'm a therapist, but I don't profess to have all the answers. I hurt just like everybody else hurts. I go through grief, I go through depression, I go through insomnia just like everybody else, because I'm human. I just shared what worked for me.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, because I think also in transparency and honesty and vulnerability, it also makes people relatable. So like you said, being able to share that, yes, I'm a clinician, but I also have these same issues, but these are the tips that I use to get through. And I think more than anything, that experiences teaches you more than anything, right?
Yes.
But also the experience also makes people that much more relatable. So I also want to share, that is a huge key, is making sure that you're consulting, or you're with a clinician that can be able to also be real and transparent with you too.
Absolutely.
Because I think a lot of the times most people are stuck is because we're not getting truth. Yeah. We're not getting the real, and we need the real to heal. everyone's struggling. Like I said before we started the show, like I'm in my car, like, okay, I gotta go through, like I'm telling myself, having this pep talk, like don't be too close to the mic, don't do this and this, to get prepared. And I think these honest conversations, being able to be honest and transparent, is what will also help you begin to heal. But don't forget that these keys are available to you. You have to be able to want to help yourself, and that is a huge part in self-care, but also implementing how much you love yourself. What are you pouring into you? Are you waiting for someone to come save you? Mm-hmm. I'm here to tell you today, no one's coming to save you. You have to be able to save yourself.
That's right.
But there's resources available, especially clinicians. If you are struggling in any area, this is the time, not just listening to another show. Don't let this just be some words spoken or another person on the mic giving you information. Actually utilize it. How do you feel like, especially during this pandemic, that people are actually coping or dealing with all of the uncertainties? Have you seen a change since this time?
Well, I've seen unhealthy change and some healthy change.
Okay.
So I'll start with the healthy first.
All right.
During this pandemic, a lot of people have just created a beeline to the therapy offices. Like they are running in and making appointments. Like I said,
yes.
A lot of my colleagues and myself included, we were just really busy just taking appointments because people are losing people back and forth. It's just like every time you turn around, somebody has died because of COVID, or every time you turn around, somebody is sick, or people are financially struggling. That creates depression, anxiety, frustration, insomnia, everything.
Yes.
And so they're running like, I need help, I need to try to figure this out. So that's a healthy way. But an unhealthy way, I've seen unhealthy ways when people are just continuing to self-medicate. Okay. They're using medication to kind of calm themselves and numb themselves for what, they just want to escape from reality.
Yeah.
And then you have children. Children are depressed because they can't go outside. They don't see their friends anymore. They're not at school. They don't have that social aspect in their life. So, you have people committing suicide, sadly, during this situation, but because they don't access the keys. When all actuality, I tell everybody, you have everything you need to succeed already inside of you.
Yes,
I don't even have to say it. So if I'm sitting here as your clinician and you're looking at me like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna ask you, what are you gonna do?
Right. Yes.
I'm gonna put it back on you because you know yourself better than I know you.
Yeah.
I'm just here to guide you and help you. Okay, well, maybe if we take this route, that probably won't be the smartest route.
Right.
So maybe we should go this way instead. That's why I'm here. You're driving. I'm in the passenger seat.
Yes, I love that. And you hit some really important topics that I would like to touch. I don't know. Yeah, we got some time, especially the children aspect. But again, I'm like always big on everything starts with you. It all starts with you. You are the master key. You have everything that you need inside of you to overcome whatever situation you are going to. And even if that means you being guided to a person, or guided to a book, guided to a message, anything like that, those are all resources you have inside of you if you begin to just listen to that inner you. I really want to talk about, since you brought it up, the kids. I have 3 sons, and like today, I just let them go outside, and they're in the parking lot just running back and forth because I'm like, these poor kids are go crazy. What keys or tips do you have, one for children and then also for the parents, being able to kind of deal with being at home, not have enough money, and all of those issues that are arising because of COVID and the pandemic right now?
Okay, so I'll tell you the professional me.
Okay.
Because I'm also one of those mothers with a teenager at home. And so sometimes I run out of my own ideas. So I just think that this is my go-to, and you can utilize this in every aspect of your life. I think it's very important as parents to really be present. Okay, so it's so easy for us to isolate because everybody is in their house. Like, we just want to go to our room, or we just want to go sit in front of the computer, or we just want to go sit and look at our phones. Our kids are doing the same thing in the house. I think it's very important that we are present. When we walk in from work, I used to be a yeller, and my kids can say.
Yeah, me too.
My daughter's on here. I used to be a yeller. I walk in the house. What is it?
Yeah, that's me.
So, okay, so that's the mama me, right? That's the mama me.
I'm guilty.
Right. And so I'm very transparent. I don't mind telling my story, okay? But what I'm saying is, when you walk in the home, you should make sure that you are present. Let your child know, hey, I'm home. You know, how was school? Right. What's going on? Is there anything that you want to talk to me about? Like, talk to me. You know, that's a form of being present. Okay, don't just walk past his or her room and just say, oh, they good. You know, what? I mean,
and you know, it's interesting you say that, because I would say, like, the last month and a half, when I've been getting home from work, I find myself on the phone. So lately I'm like, I'll finish my conversation in the car, and then I would be the same. I'll walk in like, why is the dishes not done? What? And then I was like, okay, hey, how are you? Hey, baby, what's going on? Because I realized they are going through these transitions like worse than us, because I'm getting to go outside now and go to work every day. But every element of their little lives aspects have completely changed. And so that is a huge key right there, is being present. I've also been implementing movie time with them, where we're not on the phones at all. We're all laying in the same bed. We're all watching a movie. And I've seen how clingy my kids have been. And I wouldn't say clingy, but it's been more like very affectionate and very like open. And it's not a fight. Like, turn the game off and come watch a movie. It's like, oh, Mom, are we having movie night tonight? It's like, yeah. So that is very huge, of just being present.
That's great. And another thing I would say, as it relates to the kids, and you could even utilize this with your own self, and it's a part of self-care and self-love. I believe that I was going to therapy because I have a therapist too. I'm a therapist with a therapist.
Yes, I
agree. So I was telling her how I was struggling with my son about this whole distance learning situation, and she said, you know, you're not alone. Number one. But she said, I think that you should implement giving him a grace gift.
Ooh.
And I was like, a grace gift? He is spoiled. He don't need a gift. He this, that. And she said, no, but don't you know how hard it is for you to adapt and adjust to this whole situation, wearing the mask, going to work, washing your hands, worried about who's next to you if they have COVID, you know, just everything. She said, look at him. He's at home. He's taken completely out of his comfort zone. He deserves a grace gift.
Wow, I said, that just gave me chills.
Extra grace. That's what it's called. It's the extra grace gift.
So what does that look like? What are some of those?
It can look like whatever you want it to be, but it has to be something. My son likes Jordans.
Okay.
My son likes things.
Okay.
And so it can be that you get him a pair of shoes. It can be that you take him out for ice cream. It can be something special that you give him to show your appreciation for him being patient through this situation.
That is
for
really
him,
good.
To support him in this, because kids need support too. Just like they're little people, but they're little people with issues like that we have.
Big people issues right now, and they don't have half the tools we have to even try to figure or process this out. I have one of my sons, he's like an extrovert, and so school is life for him. Like, he's the friendly one. He wants, and today they were talking in the car, him and his younger brother, and all he's been talking about the last 2 days is his friends. Like, oh, I remember my friend at school when this, and I remember my friend at school. And so today, like, I met up with a coworker, and he got to play with her son, because I'm like, he's crying out for this friend thing. And so luckily he does have siblings, but he's also like a lover, so he wants to meet new people. He likes new people. And so even paying attention to your kids, paying attention to the conversations they're having, and what games or activities they're interacting with, will also, I feel like, share with you what's actually going on in their minds without them being able to express it. And I love the grace gift, because I'm going to implement that.
The grace gift, listen, I do the grace gift for me.
Yes.
everybody needs a little extra grace, right?
Yes,
so that's
especially
a part
now.
of self-care and self-love, which it does not have to be monetary either.
That's good,
You
yeah.
can do something like you could do pedicures in your own home.
Yeah.
You can run a nice hot bath or
Yes.
cook a nice dinner, the favorite meal, or sit down and play a game or watch a movie together. All of those can be considered extra grace gifts, which are also self-care
I was
gifts.
just going to say that. Yes.
They're also acts of self-care.
Absolutely. So she just gave a bunch of keys, you guys. I hope that you are listening. There is a question in the comment, and so I'm going to read it. But before I'm going to read it, and when we come back from our break, I'm going to let you answer it. It's from Naya. She said, what advice would you give to those who seek counseling who lives in the LGBTQ lifestyle community? Those who seek counseling look to be counseled by a Christian counselor without feeling they would be judged because of their lifestyle. So that is a good question. And before we are going to take a quick break, and then once we take a break, then we will answer that question. So thank you for the questions. And also, if anyone wants to call in and has a question for LaTanya, I'm sure she's open to ask and answering any questions. Or if you have any questions for me, again, she gave a wealth of keys that you can implement immediately. I am doing this grace key for myself and the kids. So we will be back. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned in until the next 5 minutes. I'll see you in a minute.
Potato sugar,
Yes.
Django isn't a slave. Django is a free man, you understand? You can't treat him like any of the other niggas around here, cause he ain't like any of the other niggas around here. You got it?
Yearning for your validation.
Validation.
All in hopes I'm in the conversation.
All in hopes.
Pour so much of me into you. Can't believe I ain't never feel for me instead of you. I slide in the coupe, drop by, lose the roof. I die for the truth, abide by no rules. The devils in cahoots, drop a prayer on the screw.
One time.
Got God on my side, how can I ever lose still? I wanna be humble, but I gotta flex. On them niggas, I don't wanna mumble, but let them respect.
Respect me, nigga.
I do it my way, they say it's left. Wait to the left. If I sell my soul, what I got left? Because I don't need nobody else.
Yeah, right.
I'm lying to myself. Not talking physical, dog, the spiritual and health. Yeah, all these opportunities is higher, I can tell. Got to get the mental stairs, cause the timing never fails. My advice, keep moving. If not, you can lose it. Wasting time on the clueless. Knowing they can never do this. Back, tell them pessimists they need to spine. Whack, when they're paralyzed in the mind. I don't need nobody else.
No, I
I will
don't.
tell my younger self.
What you say?
You got God as your help. Just let it go and never dwell.
My advice.
Unless they good to you. My advice. Look in the mirror, tell the truth. My advice. Sometimes you gotta break the rules. My advice. Stand for something or die for nothing.
My advice.
Flex on them if they hating on you. I would tell my younger self. Yeah. You should never go and let. Yeah. Hypothetical. Fuck all opinions. Your validation and your acceptance. I never needed you. No, I never needed you. I never needed you.
No, I never needed you.
Yeah. It's a little different this time. Yeah. I'm coming live in the nighttime.
Nighttime.
I'm bruising down in the state 9 to 5. 9 to 5. I'm going buck 5. Hope I don't see them cop lights.
Hope I don't.
I'm in the fast lane. Yeah, he told me about no warning signs. And I'm trying to live fast, die young. We ain't got time.
No, we
Do
don't.
it part part-time. The benefits don't benefit, it ain't full-time. More than 40 every week, putting overtime. I'm clocking 7 days a week till I'm prime time. That ain't enough time for the short time. Says I'm trying to see a million by the summertime. Before it's fall time, and they forget mine. Cold world without my pockets warming when the shivering. Foot on the gas pedal, leave it stuck and dry. Never slowing down, had to cut the brake lines. Jesus take the wheel, I'ma steal when I decide. That's just free will, we don't trust him all the time. When we should, but I don't mean to preach. When your hands upon the wheel, who you tryna be? Stick your hand out, tell me who you tryna reach. Yourself like you out playing hide and seek. Still I'm cruising for a chase. Knowing that my family is not safe.
They not safe.
Unless we keep a bag in the safe. It ain't safe. No, it ain't safe. Unless we keep a bag in the safe. Yeah, right. They don't want smoke, dear. If they do, we let them bucks fly. I heard them sending shots on the gram, they ain't like mine.
Mine hits a little harder, dog.
Could say a lot about them, y'all careers isn't never mine.
Hey.
Cheese steak, gotta feel it when the show time. Pedro got me booked up, now they reading mine. Try the NY, hit up shade 45. They ain't in my, they doing prime time. 7 o'clock on the dot. Staying low key, y'all gon' watch. Moonwalk the interview, Billy jeans in my DM, they some thoughts. She want me to pull up, hop out, set me up like a snitch does, cop out. Camera phone, a lingerie on my cock out. Work my shift when I finish, I clock out. She ain't worth the bag, don't care if she bad. Beyonce back at home, she can teach you what's class. I need a few bags, a Lambo and a jack. Exotic luxury, pink slips, custom tags. Oh yeah, tired of shooting stars, now I wanna shoot some comments. Trolling on my timeline with no bridge around it. Deals on the table, we know y'all don't know about it. There's no limit when you bout it. So I'm cruising for a chase. Knowing that my family is not safe. Unless we keep a bag in the safe. It ain't safe. Still I'm cruising for a chase. Knowing that my family is not safe. Unless we keep a bag in the
Hello. Welcome back. It is yours truly, Coach Amber J with Key Talk Tuesdays on BU Radio. We have our amazing, fancy clinician, Latanya Gaston, and we just had an amazing conversation on the break, so we will continue that. But before we jump into that conversation, we want to answer the question that Naya left us, and that is, what advice would you give to those who seek counseling who live in the LGBTQ lifestyle community, those who seek Christian counseling without feeling judged? So I want to allow you to answer that question, Latanya, if you don't mind.
Again, I just want to support that if you work for an employer and you have insurance, you can call that component on the back of your insurance and you can seek out that option. There are Christian therapists who are also in the LGBTQ community, and they also provide therapy. So you can, and if that doesn't work for you, you can also go on Google. You can Google anything. Listen, Google will have you where you need to be.
Yes, Google
or not.
Yes.
But you can also Google what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And get and make sure you know your preference. Naya, I'm very proud of you. You already know what you want. If that's not for you, the person already knows what they want. Right. You can direct them. They can go the Google way, or they can go to psychology.com, and they can find their preference within that entity. Or also, if they have insurance, look on the back of that insurance card, know your preferences, and let the person know right there on the phone, and they'll get you somebody in your insurance network.
And then also, I know you mentioned 211. Is that also another resource?
211, yes. So 211 has excellent resources for local Nevadans. And again, you have to know what you want, though. Because,
Yeah.
see, they cannot go inside your brain and pick it out.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying you have to be able to identify what it is that you want and be able to verbalize that, and you can call 211 as many times as you want.
Yeah.
You can call the insurance provider as many times as you want, but
Yes.
you have to know what it is that you're looking for.
Right. So being able to ask the right questions and ask what the services that you are seeking. I know I also do property management, and I also refer people to 211 because they have resources for rent utilities. 211, it has a wealth of information on all different aspects, but you have to know what you're asking for. So thank you again for answering that. Hopefully that answered your questions, and thank you for being courageous enough to answer it. Hey, Wong Lorene, I see you in the building. We are continuing to talk about self-care and self-help and how it affects your mental well-being. We actually, on the break, we talked about triggers that are caused due to lack of self-care or not having self-care at all. And so I want to talk about that because LaTanya brought up some really great points on knowing the triggers that can be affected due to lack of self-care. So let's talk about that because that was dope.
So if you are lacking self-care and self-love, first of all, you know it.
Yes.
Okay. You know it. And you are neglecting it, or you are refusing to act upon it. So what you may see, I explained in my group, we talked about grief and loss last week, and I talked about just the same as you experience an emotional response to grief and loss, you experience a physical response to grief and loss. Yeah. Same thing. Just as you experience an emotional response to the lack of self-care and self-love, you have a physical response as well. So the emotional response may be mental anguish. Okay. You may feel like you're having a nervous breakdown.
Wow.
Many people say they're having anxiety attacks, which don't exist. It's actually heightened anxiety, or you may be having a panic attack.
Say that one more time. Break that down for some listeners who may not completely understand what you're saying. You said anxiety attacks are not real.
No.
Okay.
Anxiety attacks don't exist in the DSM. The DSM is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual for clinicians, and that's what we use to be able to diagnose individuals. Okay? And anxiety attack does not exist in that book, in that manual. Okay? The only thing that exists and that's diagnosable is a panic attack, a panic disorder. So what you may be experiencing is heightened anxiety, which means increased anxiety symptoms, increased frustration, increased nervousness, increased fear, increased fidgety. You can't stop moving. You just can't. You're moving around. You can't stop thinking. Racing thoughts, racing heartbeat. Those are the things that you might be experiencing. It's not an anxiety attack. It may be a panic attack, and that's also a physical symptom. You start feeling physical things in your body. When you experience anxiety or mental anguish or feelings of overwhelming feelings, you feel some way in your body. Yes. Everybody is different, so everybody experiencing them, they experience them in different manners. However, you can all relate it to increased anxiety.
So that is important, and I think a lot of people, because they lack the information or the understanding. When you have the information, as far as anxiety attacks are not real, they are just heightened anxiety symptoms of whatever you are feeling. So if you're feeling a certain kind of way, it is just heightened. It is not an attack, and I think that will help people understand so that they can calm down and know that it's not real. I think that's half the battle too, is because whatever you believe, you start to think is real.
Exactly.
So
you are
thank
what
you for that.
Believe.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. And then also, I really want to dive into the triggers that you talked about, because you mentioned the part being in a toxic relationship can trigger lack of self-care because you're in those relationships.
Absolutely.
Like anger. You said anger. You mentioned a lot, so I really want you to mention those keys one more time so people can hear what you're saying, especially right now in COVID-19. I've heard domestic violence has went up like 86-87% in this time, and most of it is because you're in a toxic relationship and you are lacking the self-care and self-love in the moment.
A big part of self-care And self-love is loving who you are unapologetically,
Yes.
accepting flaws with or without a spouse, a mate, or a person. Okay,
Yes.
you should be the person that's loving on you. You should be the person that is accepting you, regardless of whatever difference you have, or regardless of whatever anybody else says. You
Yeah.
should be that person to be able to accept you. However, triggers that you can experience when you are neglecting yourself, or triggers that may prevent you, or what was the question? I'm sorry.
It
I'm
was
getting all
what
mixed up.
just some triggers that you can identify that you're neglecting self-care, self-love. What would be some triggers to identify?
Mental anguish again, nervous breakdowns,
Yes.
panic attacks, frequent headaches,
Oh, that's good.
depression, sadness, even fleeting suicidal thoughts. Fleeting suicidal thoughts is like you're thinking about what would life be like without me.
Oh,
Or
wow.
if I wasn't in this situation, I want to leave this situation, but I'm afraid to leave this situation. So maybe I should take my life. That's the way that I need to end it. Like you're thinking about it, but you don't
Okay.
have a plan. Okay. So it can get so bad that where you almost attempt to do it. So you
Wow.
have to be able to recognize the triggers. If you know that that you can't tolerate somebody cheating on you, or you have trust issues, why would you get into a relationship with somebody who is going to cheat on you? Or why would you stay in a relationship
That
with
is
somebody who
good.
is cheating on you? That is an example of you not really loving yourself enough to know your limitations and to be
That
able to
is good.
identify what is harming you inside.
Yeah. And I'm like over here stuck, like, are y'all listening to these things? A lot of people, you guys are staying in relationships, and like she said, you're in the point where you don't want to really kill yourself, but because of this situation and the feelings and the triggers, because you're neglecting your self-care, or you don't love yourself enough to say, you know what, this is not going to work for me, I have to walk away. It's so important knowing who you are, knowing your love, knowing how to implement these self-care tips so you don't stay in situations where it makes you want to end your own life, or even think about that. Or like she said, staying in a relationship where someone is cheating and you know you have trust issues.
Yes.
Why stay there?
Right. I wrote something that I just really feel like it's in my spirit to say, and
Yes,
I really
go
feel
ahead.
like it's going to bless somebody. It's about self-love, and this is what I said. I said self-love should be the foundation. It should be the center that
Yeah.
gives you the opportunity to choose what is best for you.
That is
Okay?
so
and
good.
and then in addition to that, it also affords you the option to create healthy friendships and relationships
Yeah.
and boundaries. Okay?
Yes.
Show yourself kindness and respect. Self-love means that no matter what happens around you or for you or how you may feel, because sometimes our feelings change.
Yes, they
I
do.
still have an overall positive view of myself.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking bad about just because something bad happened, just because I lost my dad, I'm not angry with myself about
Yeah.
that. Or I don't feel bad about myself, because that situation happened. I still have an overall positive outlook of myself. That's self-love.
That is self-love. That is so good. Like, I think a lot of people, they start to view themselves based off of circumstances and situations, because the lacking of self-care and self-love. And how do you develop those things? By finding out who you are. Absolutely doing the inner work, which means it may be seeing a therapist, it may be sitting down and sitting in solitude and journaling, or picking up books that allow you to kind of reflect. These are all the keys to begin to truly identify who you are, what you want, what makes you happy, and how to love you. When you begin to love yourself truly and be able to separate, is this a trigger or a feeling? Is this a temporary emotion that I'm feeling, or is this truth? When you begin to know who you are at your core root, you can begin to truly show up as such. And this is why, for me as a coach, it's so important that you have this foundation, because without it, you cannot move further. You cannot move forward. And I am a huge fan of therapy because I believe it gets to the core root. Absolutely. To be able to even get you pushed forward to do the next step, become who you have been created to be. And so I really thank you, LaTanya, for breaking down these tips and keys and giving this, because there are so many people that you're stuck because you just choose not to love you, not to take the keys and take care of yourself.
Or they're stuck because they lack knowledge.
There it is.
And the Bible even says, people perish because of the lack of knowledge. So you have to know and listen and be able. It's not enough just to listen. You have to follow through. Yes. And that's a part of self-love and self-care as well. If you really love yourself, you really care about yourself, then don't just use these, don't just listen to these resources. You got to follow through.
Apply, application, opening and unlocking the door. That is how you become the master key of your own life. Absolutely. We're getting down to the last 5 minutes, so I want to leave you with, to become the master key of your own life, it is locking and unlocking doors that either no longer serve you or that are going to help you move to the next level. So I want to share with you a huge self key that you can use right now is go to the website, to Amazon or to Barnes and Nobles, and get this book. If anyone is local, are they able to get the book from you locally?
Absolutely. Okay. They can meet me somewhere. I can sign and put a special message inside your book. Even if you order it from Amazon or Barnes and Nobles, I can still meet you and put a special message and sign your book.
Awesome. So go ahead and leave your handles, LaTanya, so people can know how to reach out to you. I know you do other things. I know you also are a career coach that I didn't get to mention, but how can people get in touch with you if they are just need some help in the moment?
If you need some help in the moment, I would suggest that you join my group on Facebook. My group is called Tanya Talks Mental Health. It runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can inbox me. I have no respect to person. I listen. I talk to anybody and I help anybody.
Yes.
So that's the way that you can reach me. I'm also on Instagram, and I am a classy clinician on Instagram. And Facebook, I'm just my name, LaTanya Gaston. It might say the Dr. G because I just graduated with my PhD. But
congratulations.
Thank you. But nonetheless, you can inbox me and I am more than happy to assist you.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. She left us with so many master keys that you can implement. I want to leave you with this. It all begins with you. Use these keys, apply them. Self-care is how you begin to truly love yourself and show up for yourself. Yes, they are different, but they are all steps to the ultimate end goal, is loving yourself, showing up unapologetically, and healing, doing the work, and becoming the master key of your own life. Until next week, I am yours truly, Coach Amber J. We are here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. If you are looking for coaching services and you said, I've been doing my work, I'm ready to move to that next level, I'm ready to tap into purpose, I am your girl. Book your coaching session. Let's do the work. Let's heal. Let's be great. Let's be amazing. And until next week, I love you all. Have an amazing day. Shout out to the producers. Thank you. And I will see you all next week.
Outpour. PMG. For Music Group. Come on.